7, to me, is the greatest place on the earth to find athletes. It don't matter what sport you want. We have them of all kinds. You like them big, you like them small, you like them fast, you like them slow. You come to the 757 for that talent here.
And that is how we'll start our program tonight. Aaron Rouse summing it up quite well. Hampton Roads producing countless athletes that have gone on to excel at the highest level of their respective sports. And tonight we're focusing on the gridiron. 4 Hall of Famers, Super Bowl champions, record holders, and more calling the Tidewater region home. Countless players from the 7 cities and surrounding areas have reached the pinnacle of football. And tonight we're celebrating the legacy and road that they've paved for the next generation. NFL players will tell you that the league is like a fraternity of those who have played in it, and the same can be said for the 757.
The talent that has come out of the 757, it just puts a big smile on my face knowing that I'm a part of it.
That's what I used to tell guys when I went to Tech. Yeah, Miami got all the 5 stars and all that, but don't get it twisted. We got the same dudes, and we're going to show you on the field.
Of course, Virginia and Virginia Tech both competing throughout decades to get the best players from our area, a competition that has been revived by new coaches Tony Elliott and Brent Pry. And a former Hokie is where we'll continue. That fraternity of star athletes from Hampton Roads stretching across both sides of the water, and Hampton High School the site of blossoming careers on the gridiron. One establishing himself across the Commonwealth and now making his mark in the NFL.
If you talk to anyone from Hampton, everyone's genuine. They care for one another. They want to see us all succeed.
And the city has seen Tyrod Taylor succeed. From a kid riding bikes around town growing up to taking the field under the lights at Darling Stadium, Taylor is Hampton through and through.
This is a community that I grew up in. I grew up 5 minutes down the street, played a bunch of meaningful games here at rec league and high school.
A state champion in 2005, Taylor's career record at Hampton, 34-4, and growing into one of the top quarterbacks in the country. 4 strong years at Virginia Tech would follow, then on to the NFL. A Super Bowl ring with the Ravens and Pro Bowl as a Bill, 2 highlights. But adversity aplenty. Injuries, concussions, and a bizarre accidental lung puncture, courtesy of the Chargers team doctor.
I know it's created opportunity for me to overcome, and it's also made me the man that I am today. I've learned a lot throughout my journey, and it's just a testament that things are never going to be perfect.
And he's always gotten back on track. Taylor entering his 12th NFL season, but his first as a Giant, his 6th team. He heads into the 2022 season as a backup to Daniel Jones, but is always thinking like a starter.
The quarterback position is unique. You're one play away from being on the field, so you want to be out there and obviously knowing what you're doing, but more importantly, commanding the team and leading the team in the right way.
A team leader, but also a leader in his community back in Hampton. This day finds him back home, holding a community weekend. He's built a platform for himself to give back and knows that younger eyes are watching his every move with admiration.
I always tell myself, try to be, obviously we're not perfect, but try to be an example that my younger self could gain knowledge and could gain inspiration from.
From his hometown to Virginia Tech to the highest level of football, lessons everywhere along the way that have helped shape Taylor into what you'll see on and off the field in 2022.
Life is a roller coaster. It's ups and downs. It's how you weather the storm. And character means a lot, and I think your character is revealed through trying times. And I would say that I would like a lot of people to hold my character to a high level.
Taylor's foundation launched in the summer of 2018, which aims to provide positive advancements in the lives of youth in underserved communities. Well, another former Hokie hearing plenty of cheers in the 757 during his high school days and beyond. Chesapeake is where D'Angelo Hall beginning a career that would shoot him into stardom, and he would spend a good chunk of his playing days in the region.
I thought I was a hooper coming out of 757. Everybody wanted to be a hooper like AI.
Sports always in D'Angelo Hall's blood, but the Chesapeake native thinking at first that he'd go a different direction.
Being able to touch Joe Smith and knowing he went to a local high school and knowing he went to Maryland that was a couple hours away, and knowing he was still back home, you know, it made me at 12, 13 feel like that's what I want to do.
But the gridiron is where Hall tapping into his talent, turning into a star at Deep Creek. Plenty of strong showings all blurred together for the former Hornet, but what might stand out the most, his worst performance in a state title game loss to Centerville.
I think I gave up all 28 points somehow. We lost 26-28, and I think I was, if I wasn't a DB and had a corner's mindset, oh man, I'd have lost myself in that moment.
That little hiccup did not hold him back, though. Of course, Hall going to Virginia Tech. But back then, Florida State alum Deion Sanders having defensive backs wanting a piece of prime time. The Seminoles, however, offering the Hokie commit late, and Hall's mother telling him how it was going to be.
She told me, if you want to go to Florida State, it's not a problem, but you're going to have to go. You're going to have to tell Coach Beamer. You're going to tell Coach Steinspring. You're going to have to tell all these guys that you told that they were going to come to Virginia Tech with you. You have to be a man of your word. And me being 17, I was too scared to tell all those folks no. And so I ended up not going to Florida State.
And it's in Blacksburg where the switch flipping.
Teams were telling me like, man, like if you'd have came out as a sophomore, you'd have been a first rounder. And so to me, that's when I was like, man, all right, I actually got a chance to play this game.
A first-round draft pick, 4 seasons in Atlanta, and after a brief stop in Oakland, back to the region as a Washington Redskin.
You felt the love from the fans. Anytime, even at the back end of my career, as we started having training camp in Richmond, where more people from the 757 came up. I remember people shouting out 757 and calling me, this special nickname that only people who went to high school and middle school kind of know.
Absolutely, I'm going to miss it. But at the same time, you know when you know.
Hall retiring after the 2017 season, but stays close to the game. After a stint in the Washington radio booth, he's an analyst for NFL Network, showing off what he jokes is his PhD in football.
I would always hear the commentators just kind of, just getting a little bit of it wrong, whether it was a coverage standpoint or them, pointing out somebody else has blown something when they don't fully understand what took place in that coverage. And so, I'm always looking at it with a different kind of lens.
For 2 decades, Hall putting on a show for fans in Hampton Roads. Confidence, always part of his game, and he hopes history shows him as one of football's most reliable defenders.
When people ask me who's top corners, I'm like, man, it ain't many people I'm putting on another receiver than myself in any situation. That I always go out there and play like a pro, probably not all the time, and I think I could have done a better job, but when push comes to shove and it's time to go cover any receiver, no help, just go, I was a competitor.
Hall suiting up in the burgundy and gold from 2008 through 2017. He has the NFL record with 4 interceptions in just one half of football. Well, we're just kicking off tonight on 757 Pipeline to the Pros. A little bit later, Hall of Famer Bruce Smith sitting down with us one-on-one, going from Norfolk to Canton. But coming up next, 2 former NFL players back in Hampton Roads trying to make a difference in local government. First, though, see if you can answer our trivia question. The answer coming up on the other side of the break. So did you figure out which former Newport News football star also drafted into Major League Baseball despite not playing in the game since 8th grade? Hey, that's Michael Vick, the former Warwick standout, taken by the Colorado Rockies in the 30th round back in 2000. It would seem Vick making the right decision, though, going on to have a record-setting career on the gridiron. Vick, the #1 overall pick in the 2001 NFL draft by the Falcons out of Virginia Tech. Of course, he holds the NFL record for most rushing yards by a quarterback. Well, playing in the NFL providing a platform to make a positive difference, and many who have left Hampton Roads during their playing days find themselves returning after their careers. Not until after college did Dontae Kerry leave Norfolk, but now impacting growth and change in the 757, his primary goal.
There we go, good job.
Leadership and public service, words that might describe the work of Dontae Kerry.
That part was kind of always instilled within me by my father, by my mother. I mentioned my father was a rec league coach. But he was also a community leader.
But before starting his foundation and being elected to Chesapeake City Council, football one of the main words in Kerry's story, beginning in Norfolk as a way to spend time with his older cousins and continuing at Booker T. Washington.
My dad began coaching rec league, so he took it to another level. And that I'm not just playing for fun, but he recorded every game in high school. We would break down film compared to the playbook.
His journey would take him across the street to Norfolk State, and a matchup with eventual first-round pick Kenny Britt during a game with Rutgers, helping him realize just how far football might take him.
I was up for the task, I was excited, and it was one of the best games I ever played. And that was kind of like my introduction into scouts coming to Norfolk State to watch me play.
And in the 6th round of the 2009 NFL Draft, Kerry hearing his name called by the Cleveland Browns.
By the time I dried my eyes, I look up and everybody was crying, right? You know, all the guys I played with at Norfolk State, we were all, you know, excited for this opportunity for one of us to make it, because it showed, you know, if DC can make it, then, you know, other players can make it.
A 10-year NFL career at safety would follow, the most success with the Detroit Lions. During that time, he and his wife Lakeisha would establish their Reach Foundation, reaching, educating, and empowering children, focusing on STEAM education, mental and physical health, and preparing for college or vocational work.
Having the ability to come back to where it all started for me, to inspire youth, to say, hey, I made it, you can too. I tell people outside of my God and my family, you know, impacting the next generation is the greatest joy of my life.
Kerry has been a council member for 2 years and continues to reach countless youth across Hampton Roads through the foundation. And it's the work he does to impact others that he hopes will define him.
I think the world needs good people, not just good products. Right, so hopefully my interactions with people can kind of help rebuild the social fabric that's kind of been tearing away.
Yeah.
And if I can be remembered as someone who did that, then I'm okay.
Community service, nothing new to Kerry. In 2016, the former Booker T. Washington grad, the Detroit Lions' Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for his charity work. But Kerry is not the only former NFL player in our area to throw his hat into the ring of local government. Aaron Rouse leaving his mark on the NFL during his career, and now aims to leave an even bigger mark in his hometown of Virginia Beach.
People say, what was the greatest time in your life? And most people will say college, but for me, it was high school.
First Colonial, good to Aaron Rouse, a physical presence who would take pleasure in eating up opposing offenses.
It was a great learning environment, but also playing football. I mean, I think I built up a reputation of being a hard hitter. And so there were times where, you know, I knocked many of players out the game.
All of a sudden, Frank Beamer and Brian Steinspring would show up to watch him play. Turns out, Virginia Tech, a perfect fit.
I knew if I stayed in state that my mother would have the opportunity to come see me play. And obviously, you know, Virginia Tech, us Hokies, we run the state of Virginia.
And the Hokies doing just that during his tenure, sweeping UVA and winning an ACC title. The former FC Patriot would play in 4 bowl games, including a Sugar Bowl, and his college career would lead to another dream coming true.
Your mother was proud, especially for me being a first-generational college student, getting that college degree, but she's also proud to say, wow, my son made it to the highest level of professional sports in football.
Rouse going in the 3rd round of the 2007 draft to the Packers and getting out of the gate strong.
I got an interception in my first 4 starts, and then obviously having a Lambeau Field record for longest interception return against Peyton Manning is like something I'm very proud of.
For all of his accomplishments, however, the Virginia Beach native may be most proud of his work away from the gridiron. After his football career ending in 2012, Rouse settling down in his hometown. He now serves as a city councilman, pushing to make a difference.
It was about civic duty. It's about coming back to the community, showing the kids that, hey, you don't have to be an athlete. All these avenues are open to you, but you have to educate yourself.
A high-impact hitter on the field, and hoping to be the same in his community as well.
How do I help you become the best person you are, the best you can be? And so I'm willing to make those sacrifices. I'm willing to get dirty, get out there in the mud, you know, but I truly just want the best for every single person living within our city, living within our Commonwealth.
And that Lambeau Field record interception return Rouse referring to, a 99-yard touchdown. The First Colonial alum also telling us that a few sacks of Tony Romo also on his ledger. That should make some of you Commanders fans happy there. Well, we've heard from a few Hokies, so don't you think it's time we get to a Wahoo here in the mix? Chris Slade, part of a York County program dominating the high school circuit. His story, however, has taken him to Charlottesville in more than just a player's capacity.
I never thought I'd be here as a coach. Never considered it until I got into coaching in Atlanta.
Chris Slade's office in UVA's McHugh Center is one he would walk by as a Cavalier player more than 30 years ago. But Slade's football days beginning well before then.
I started playing at 8 years old, and my dad, I think he put me in it because I was kind of a hyperactive kid and I was super aggressive. So his reason for putting me into football was because he felt like that was the only way he could slow me down a little bit.
A three-sport athlete, Slade and running back Terry Kirby anchoring a late 80s era of Tab high school football that would leave its mark.
We lost 3 games in 4 years. We finished ranked in top 25 in the USA Today. We ended up beating Hampton High School my last year, and everybody knows how dominant Hampton was back in the 80s and the 90s. It was known as a game of the century.
For as strong as his prep career turning out, the best yet to come. Plenty of top college programs battling for Slade's services, but his heart staying home.
I visited Alabama, Ohio State, Virginia, North Carolina, and I actually, told Notre Dame right before I was scheduled to take my 5th and final visit, I wasn't going, and I ended up committing to Virginia.
And just like high school, the linebacker's college stay historic. A 2-time consensus first-team All-American, he would help the Cavaliers reach #1 in the nation and is part of the only UVA team to ever win 10 games in a season.
My first 2 years, I walked in, I was like, man, I'd made the right choice. We're #1 team in the country, part of a team that beat Clemson. We won the ACC. I got a chance to play with 3 Heisman Trophy candidates.
A Virginia connection, part of his draft story as well. Future Cavalier head coach Al Groh, a new Patriots assistant whose son the UVA quarterback at the time.
I don't know if he was just coming because it's UVA and his son was here and he wanted to get a free trip out of it, just to see his son. But he worked me out while he was here. And next thing you know, draft day, I get a call from Bill Parcells, said, we're going to take you to the 31st pick.
Slade would play in the NFL for 9 seasons, 8 of them in New England. He would earn All-Pro honors in 1997 and play in a Super Bowl. Fast forward, and after 9 years as a high school coach, Slade debuting as a college assistant at his alma mater.
It's great, because I get a chance to really mentor and tutor the guys that I'm coaching. It's not about me being back here and, being at UVA and the honeymoon stage is over with. Now we got to win football games. I got to show these guys that I can coach.
A full circle experience back in Charlottesville, but now on the other side of the table, maybe guiding the next Chris Slade to new heights.
I've been doing this, like I said, a long time. I'm going to do this and I want to get this program up to a high level. I want to win for Coach Elliott. He's awesome, great guy to work for. And I'm gonna be here, man, as long as they'll have me.
Slade's college coaching debut will come next Saturday when UVA hosts Richmond at Scott Stadium. Old Dominion makes the trip to Charlottesville on September 17th. Well, still to come, one-on-one with a Hall of Famer who calls Virginia Beach home. How Norfolk helping to shape Bruce Smith and his storied career under the brightest lights. As we head to break, here's our next trivia question for you. Well, hopefully you're not cheating and using the internet, but the first player to ever earn all Pac-10 honors in all 4 years of his college career, Kenny Easley at UCLA. Easley, an Oscar Smith product and the 4th overall pick back in 1981 by the Seahawks. His 7-year pro career seeing him earn NFL Defensive Player of the Year honors and become a 5-time Pro Bowler. Easley inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017. And Easley, one of 4 Pro Football Hall of Famers from Hampton Roads. Another, Bruce Smith, a star whose list of things he did not accomplish, probably shorter than the achievements on his resume. A journey starting in Norfolk and reaching the highest peaks of the NFL. Bruce Smith smiles when he thinks about growing up in Norfolk.
You didn't know that you didn't have much until you saw those that had much more. That's what made life so simple.
Simple maybe, but the birthplace of some important lessons, ones that would steer him during his Hall of Fame career.
Seeing my parents and the struggles and how hard they work, it ingrained in me the importance of being thankful and grateful for the opportunities and food on the table and a roof on your head.
Smith playing a handful of sports, but his sheer size during his high school days at Booker T. Washington seeming to make a decision for him.
I wanted to be a basketball player, but when you're 6'3", 265, almost 270 in high school, your weight kind of dictates what sport you're going to play.
The defensive lineman says not until college did the NFL become a serious consideration. An injury at Virginia Tech leading to an uptick in focus and his own realization that he could achieve what his high school and college coaches always believing.
They just had to cultivate, get it out of me, and have me understand the moment and the opportunity that was being presented to me. And once that light switch went off, there was no stopping.
And the rest speaks for itself. Smith, the #1 overall pick in 1985, and putting together one of the best careers the game has ever seen.
If I do the things that are necessary, I could leave my mark on the game that will be remembered for generations to come.
4 straight Super Bowls, the most career sacks ever. His number 78 retired by the Buffalo Bills, the NFL 100 team, and induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The first Super Bowl, it was in the middle of the Gulf War. Helicopters flying above, Whitney Houston singing the national anthem, breaking the all-time sack record. An incredible feeling of accomplishment.
Now, Smith on to his second career in real estate development. He could be anywhere, Florida, California, Hawaii, but choosing to do life after football at home.
This is where I felt I could have the biggest impact in helping to give back to those that have given me so much.
And that includes the kids in Hampton Roads, walking the same footsteps that he did many years ago.
I want these young kids to be able to see and feel and touch someone that walked the same hallways, had the same struggles. And I certainly understand the plight of those that have been disenfranchised.
From Norfolk to Blacksburg to Buffalo and back, with other stops in between. A Hall of Fame player and person embedded in our community.
Man, I have been blessed. I am very grateful, and I am very thankful for all that have happened in my life.
In addition to Smith and Easley, Ace Parker, Lawrence Taylor are the 2 other Pro Football Hall of Famers from the 757. Of course, in terms of numbers, we're only scratching the surface with the players we've caught up with during the last 30 minutes. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, hailing from Newport News, going to Denby High School. Who can forget about Aaron Brooks, the Ferguson standout who would go on to UVA and the Saints? Maury grad Cam Chancellor, the list goes on, but hopefully we've been able to showcase an example of the kind of talent that we're so lucky to have here in our area.